the ring and in business. 30 years of battles, rising, falling, rebuilding. I've made money, I've lost money, but it wasn't until I created Zapata Systems was I able to really climb my way out. But the toughest fight, it wasn't physical. It was watching money walk out the door week after week, whether to vendors charging too much or labor not justifying the revenue. That money stress, it doesn't always stay at work. It follows you home, turns into arguments, cold dinners, and broken peace. And then there's the IRS, back taxes, deadlines, pressure you can't punch your way out of. Zapata Systems shows you what you're really paying. It gives you control, leverage, and savings. This isn't about surviving. It's about winning. You're in a fight. Start acting like it. Zapata Systems. Fight smarter.
What's up, guys? We are live on YouTube Wednesday. We're going to talk about the movie Superman premiere that we got to see, all three of us, and we're going to get your thoughts, what you guys thought of Superman. Dave got the Superman shirt going on, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so like and subscribe, guys, before we get started. Like and subscribe. Also, Zapata Systems Consulting is up there, another company my brother has, help with your finances. We got a lot of questions that came in via email. We're going to answer them next week because I want to make this one all about Superman and the premiere and all our thoughts about it, right? So all those questions next week, I'll do that. Someone just jumped in the chat right now. Anthony Mazzaro said, hi, Joe. Hey, what's going on, Anthony? All right, guys. So let's get started a little bit. Let's start with Superman, all right? We saw it all together last week. It was great. I thought it was good. Not the perfect movie, but it was pretty decent. So let's just break down everything and go one at a time. First, let's get the team together here, the Justice Gang. Dave, DC, Callari. What's up, Dave?
How you doing, fellas? Ready for this one?
All right. And the screenwriter, Rob Alvarenga. What's up, Rob?
Yes, sir. The intro got me charged up, ready to go. Let's go.
Well, there was a lot of comments I had coming in. A lot of people were a little bit up and down about this movie, mostly positive, but we had some negative, And to be honest, this wasn't my favorite Superman, the favorite Superman movie, and it wasn't my best comic book movie of the year. I thought Thunderbolts was a little bit better, but Superman still was great. I loved it. Let's start with David Corenswet. David, let's start with him, with what you thought of him as Superman. What did you think about him as Superman?
I bought him big time. I like this guy. I know he's a relative unknown. I expect him to blow up from here on out.
Okay.
He had a great presence as Superman. We didn't get a lot of Clark Kent, and that's okay. I think if you really think about where this takes place in his timeline of him only being Superman for 3 years, I don't really think you're going to get a big difference between Clark and Superman right now. Same way in the Batman, Bruce Wayne didn't even care about being Bruce Wayne. Like, he hasn't figured out how to have those two very separate personas just yet. And I think that came off well. I really like what he did.
Okay. Rob, what did you think about this new Superman, David Corenswet?
Oh, I'm a fan.
Okay.
I think this is probably, man, I was just talking to a buddy of mine today about the movie. And this is coming from somebody that loves Henry Cavill. It has nothing to do with his work and performance as a character, but this is probably the second best Superman we've gotten on film, because he's a throwback. He's a throwback to what everybody was looking for. He's hopeful. He sees things as in the positive. So it's reflective in everything he does, the way he speaks. In the beginning of the movie, you start hearing things like he just lost his first fight, and he's talking to his robots, and he's saying, "Fix me up. I gotta get back into the fray." And it's just like a corny Boy Scout type of delivery that I was just like, you know what? As soon as he had those few lines in the movie, I was sold. And it's a different type of strength when Superman's portrayed that way, because he's such a good person. He's always a good person, and he does that's in every single thing he does. And when it gets tested to the limits, you see, like, that's really it's in the movie. That's his greatest strength. He relies on that more than any other ability he has. And David just delivered that perfectly. James Gunn nailed it when he casted him.
Okay, really good. Anthony, I see your questions there in the chat. We're going to answer them very shortly in a couple minutes. I wanted to ask you guys, and I've seen this all over. It's kind of ridiculous to me. People had been saying, even Mike Francesa said he saw the movie and he said that that he thought it was the worst movie, that Superman got his ass kicked the entire movie. Now, Mike Francesa, I don't know, he falls asleep on the air a lot, so I don't know if he watched the right movie, because yeah, Superman did not get his ass kicked. The only person he was losing to was a clone of himself. David, what did you think about people saying that he got his ass kicked the entire fight?
Nobody was clearly paying attention, or at least they didn't realize that he was a clone the entire movie when you get that reveal at the end. So it's no different than when Doomsday shows up in the comic books, right? It's Kryptonian versus Kryptonian. So that's a level playing field. Essentially, they're equals. So it's no different than if a human being, if a strong human went up against a strong human, like, it's evenly matched. So aside from the Hammer of Baravia fight in the beginning and the fight at the end, I don't see where he's getting his ass kicked.
No, me either.
There's the point where he surrenders himself for arrest, and Ultraman just plows his face into the cement. But it's because he's indestructible, so of course his face is just going to break the cement. And he just says, "Is this really necessary?" Like, he knew what was coming. There was no ass kicking to be had. So I can understand people want to see Superman punch more things, like, as we didn't get him punching anything in Superman Returns, but that's certainly not the case. I think he showed up exactly how he needed to. I do like that he was not all powerful. Like, if you look at Zack Snyder's Justice League, Superman by himself is 99% strong of the strength of the Justice League, and when everyone else shows up, it's 100%. Like, it's so, the difference is so minuscule. That's very uninteresting. Like, it's cool at the end when he shows up and beats up Steppenwolf, but it's not there's no stakes there.
Yep. Rob, I'm going to ask you too the same question. What did you think about him? Because, as a writer, how do you write for someone with Superman if you can't give him a challenge? Obviously he's got to get beat up or something, got to have something there. But people saying that he got his ass kicked the movie, I don't see it at all. What do you think?
Okay. So I'm going to actually agree with David in this sense. Those that have that complaint were not paying attention. I mean, even when it's spelled out at the end, he's not just fighting a clone of himself. He's fighting a clone of himself that's getting directions from one of the smartest people in the DC universe, Lex Luthor. He's literally, Lex Luthor is playing PlayStation as Ultraman, and so he's got his intellect. It shows in the actual film that he studied this guy since he came about on the scene. And it's key. It's a key point. And maybe if I as a screenwriter, going back, maybe there was something I could have maybe suggested. If you're just gonna show in the opening scroll that Superman has been known to the world for 3 years, that's a very, very key detail, because the first scene is him losing his first fight. This guy is not a trained fighter. He's Superman. He's indestructible, and he has all these abilities, but that's what he knows how to use. So imagine you could be the strongest guy. You hit the gym, you do CrossFit, all that stuff like that, and then you go against somebody that's a Marine. What do you think is going to happen? Both of you guys will probably be just as strong, but that Marine's going to know how to kick your ass. So to me, that's a non-starter. If you really, really was watching the movie and paying attention, Superman is up against it. He's not just fighting one person and getting his ass kicked. He's fighting Lex Luthor. Then he's bringing in the engineer. Lex Luthor, well, even though we just get thrown into the whole fray, to borrow the phrase in the movie, Lex Luthor clearly had this plan for years. Superman, for as great as he is, I mean, it shows. Lex Luthor is going to have him beat when it comes to a game plan. And that's the entire movie. He's fighting an uphill battle until the very end.
Yep. And let's talk about Lex Luthor, because Anthony Mazzano here in the chat, he said, what are you guys' opinions on people saying that Lex was traditionally mustache twirling villain and he really didn't have any dimensions whatsoever? So Anthony, that's a good, a good suggestion. Now, what did you think, Rob? What do you think about this question that Anthony said?
So I kind of feel where Anthony's coming from, because I love Nicholas Hoult as a character. He was scary. He was he was very formidable as the villain. But that was kind of like the downside of kind of like throwing everything into the story like in the middle, and we're just trying to catch up to what's happening. Lex Luthor is angry. He is pissed off. He is unhinged. We mentioned that on the out of the theater reaction, that this guy he was just there, and with like anger or like an obsession, and you're like, whoa, where did this come from? 3 years as Superman, and he says the line, he says nothing's been the same since 3 years. What happened 3 years ago? Like, how did we get to here where this guy's just hell bent? Screw Metropolis. I don't care if it gets destroyed in a black hole. I want to kill Superman, and not just kill Superman, but like grind him into the ground. Spiritually, morally, all that stuff. The complete destruction of the man. And yeah, so because of that, yeah, you are going to get kind of like I'm just here. I'm going to be bad, so I'm going to be as bad as I could be, kind of guy, without the reasoning behind it. The best villains that we always remember have a weird relatability. It's like, I wouldn't go that route. That's just the bad decision to go about handling this, but you understand why. We never really get that with Lex Luthor. So I get it. It's a dimension that I do think is missing in the movie. Does not take away from the performance at all. Lex Luthor was definitely an enjoyable part of this movie.
Yeah. Anthony Mazzano for Dave is a blend of George and Christopher Reeve Superman, and the movies that were in the 90s with Brandon Routh. Okay, well, all right, we'll see that question. That's pretty good. What did you think, Dave, about Lex Luthor?
I thought he was probably the best on-screen incarnation of Lex. We got to see him use everything at his disposal. We got to see him use his fortune at his disposal. We got to see him use his intellect at his disposal. We also got to see that even though he's a formidable villain, he's also undone by all his strengths. He's undone because he thinks he's so smart and can't be beat or shouldn't be beat. I would have liked a little backstory. As Rob said, he was maybe a little bit one-dimensional. But I think somewhere in the dialogue, you can kind of pick out that he just feels like Superman shouldn't be having the place in the conversation where he thinks he should be. As if he should be mentioned in the same breath of greatness as Superman because of the person that he is. But again, we got to see how evil he really can be. Once he gets going, he kind of can't stop himself, which again is his undoing. And it was pretty interesting to see him do the Russian roulette scene. And we're like, oh, he actually gets his hands dirty, because usually he doesn't. It's either a henchman, a machine, another supervillain to do it. That was the first time we actually saw him get down and dirty and do the bad stuff.
Yep, exactly. And
he just walks off like, well, here.
Actually, I think Screen Rant they rated had a poll on the best Lex Luthors, and Nicholas Hoult was actually ranked number 1. So,
we only have 4.
Yeah,
Gene Hackman. Oh, I'm sorry, more than that. With Gene Hackman, sex criminals, Kevin Spacey,
Jesse Eisenberg.
The guy Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah. He was number 10. He was the last one on the list.
Yeah. Who was the guy in Lois and Clark? John Shea.
Yes.
And the Superman and Lois. And John Shea was only in that show for a season. That Lex and Superman and Lois, while he was fine, was in the last season only. So we haven't really. And then Michael Rosenbaum.
Of course.
Yep.
So that's almost an unfair comparison, because he had multiple seasons to develop his approach to the character and the writing. I know he departed before the end of the show, but he had a much longer arc to really develop his character, whereas all these guys just get a 2.5-hour movie.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to Lois Lane. I actually think, Amy Adams is a kind of the better actress, but I think that this Rachel, she actually did a great job of Lois Lane, and there was a connection there between her and Corenswet. Corenswet. I thought there was a great connection there. Rob, what did you think about Lois Lane?
I love that portrayal. Amy Adams, I think, has the more recognition as far as like the body of work.
Yep.
But I don't know if anyone's seen the marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah, she was very good in that, Rachel.
She kills in that show. So when
Mhm.
she got cast, I was super excited, and she brought over that charismatic vibe to her, because this Lois Lane had a vibe to her. In Superman Returns, you found a Lois Lane that was kind of like, just searching, because based on, spoiler alert, she bore Superman's son, and so she's just trying to figure out what's going on, with the rest of her life now that Superman's returning. But I'm just using that as a contrast versus like what we're getting with this iteration. She's a force of nature, and that's really, in any memorable depiction of Lois Lane, that's usually what you want to go for with this character. She is a force of nature that once she has her sights set on a story, on an angle, on on the truth that needs to be told, there is no one that will stop her. Perry White tries, but she not just gets the job done just for her job, but it's because she has that need to like show the world, like, no, what's true, and she'll do whatever it takes to get there. And it shows that kind of like mentality shows even with in the relationship with Clark. Granted, we don't get too much Clark, but even in that scene in the kitchen, when Superman, jokingly says, "Yeah, you could interview me," and she's like, "Really? Are you sure you want that?" Because even though she's going out with him, they're in a relationship. It's like, no. This, now you kind of like flip who I really am, and I'm gonna unleash and pull that truth out of you, and so you could see like where people would see like maybe you were in the wrong on this. I don't know. I think she knocked it out of the park. The casting of a Superman, Lois, and Lex. I mean, that's the core three of this story. They really carry this thing for the most part.
Dave, what did you think about Lois? Rachel's Lois.
I thought she was great. I saw Miss Maisel, and she was great in that. She portrays a believable strength, right? Same thing I thought with Elizabeth Tulloch in the Superman and Lois show. Like a very small woman, but you believed everything that she brought to the table. And I got the same sense with her. Just as Rob said, once she's like, well, if this is the interview, I'm not pulling any punches, which is what you would expect someone of that caliber to do. I think we got the most amount of reporting from this one outside of in the movies, which Lois Lane in the Christopher Reeve movie she does the interview, and that's great, but we don't get to see much else outside of that. Amy Adams, I feel just like they wrote Cavill's Superman a little bit wishy-washy. Like, oh, I'm sad, I'm strong, I don't know what the people want. She was kind of the same way. She was a little bit wishy-washy. Like, she didn't seem to have much pushback on Clark for a couple things when she was trying to like go into the Middle East, but I just didn't really buy her as Lois. And I thought Rachel was great. She brought the strength, and she still had a tenderness when she needed it. Like right before he leaves, when she's like, "I told you this wasn't going to work." And then her little bit of a flip when she was in Smallville and he was healing and the dog. She got to see. I think it's never really explained specifically in the movie, but I feel like she got to see what made him answer the questions the way he did about, I'm not representing anybody, I'm representing me and doing good. And I think just the expressions on her face was enough to be like, okay, now she gets it. And I think that was a good beat.
Yeah, I thought so too. Anthony, I see some more questions in there. My brother George is in there. I see some questions. We're gonna answer them shortly, but we just want to go through our list that we have here first. Let's talk about Jor-El. He's been a little bit of a subject that's been a little bit kind of that story that they put him in as the message was you didn't know what he said, and then finally you found out they asked Superman to rule the earth kind of in his message, weird way, which is kind of weird. But I hear maybe they're gonna fix that in Superman 2, and Brainiac is the one who kind of did that message. I don't know, but that's what there's some rumors flying around, but I don't know. James Gunn says he's got some ideas, but we don't know. Jor-El and that message, people didn't like that. Everyone wanted him to be the good for humanity, but the message was weird. Dave, what did you think about the Jor-El twist?
Well, clearly no one watched Smallville seasons two or three.
Yeah, we're there too.
Like we've been here already. That's the thing. Like I get it, but this has been done. And the same thing in the Superman and Lois TV show. I think Jor-El speaks of Jonathan and Jordan as like half-bloods or half-breeds. So this isn't really anything new. So listen, I get it. If you're like a Superman casual fan where your only exposure to him has been the movies and not the comic books or some of the TV shows, like I understand that. But like even Kevin Smith, who presumably knows way more than he should about any of these characters based on Mallrats, I listened to his review and he said the same thing. Like he kind of bumped up against that. He didn't love it. But like I said, it's been done. I know there was a lot of people online talking about like, oh, that's not my Superman in the comics. I can guarantee the biggest fan has not read every issue of every story ever written for Superman. So this idea has probably been born out somewhere in some, whether it's a graphic novel, a one-off, whatever. I mean, you look at Brightburn, right? Like it's the same type of idea. So I think it was fine, but Gunn also knows how to pay it off when at the very end, the dialogue between him and Gary is exactly the same. Like, would you like to see footage of your parents? And he's like, yeah, that would be great. And I knew we were going to see Jonathan and Martha Kent. I don't think everybody did. And I know that because in our theater, you heard a bunch of like, aw, when they came on the screen. So like, you may not like it, but he did pay it off. And really that's what matters. Like, get me in the theater and make me feel something, like take all my money.
Yeah. And we called, Bradley Cooper was Jor-El. We said that earlier in the thing. We were talking about Bradley Cooper. Rob, what do you think about that Jor-El message? I mean, clearly people have been talking about it, and like Dave said, it's been done before.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's why when it was revealed, part of me was like, oh, okay. It definitely was borrowed because I remember that it was done in Smallville, particularly. I was like, oh, okay. So they took that right out of Smallville, no problem. That's what writers do. You borrow from certain things and then you try to put your own spin on it. And that's what Gunn did with this. And it played into the overall story. That's the thing, I'm not just brushing off, people's like reaction to it because I get it. People are thinking like, Russell Crowe, as Jor-El. They're also thinking about, Marlon Brando, those guys that were just like ultra benevolent beings that seems to be like the only ones in Krypton before that planet blew up. So that's their Jor-El, but that's it, again, the concept was nothing new. It's definitely been played in the shows, and to be honest, if I'm not mistaken, in the comic books as well. I mean, I remember distinctly that they actually, I'm trying to remember like which comic book that I saw it in, but it was definitely obviously it was DC, but it was like Jor-El, and he was painted as like this like imposing like angry being and stuff that he wasn't at all what he was told to be and such. So no, it played into the overall story arc. This movie is about who the Superman. The question for Superman is, are you really? Who are you really going to be? What kind of Superman are you going to be? Well, you got to be one that's true to yourself. So if that's true, you don't know Jor-El. He didn't bring you up. Jonathan and Martha did. And it makes sense that full circle, he comes to realize, you know what? That's where my strength is. This is who I really am. And I'll never forget it.
All right. Let's talk now the Justice Gang. Now, I actually loved it. And I think they could have spent another maybe 5 minutes in the Hall of Justice. I'd like to see that would have played out a little bit more. But those scenes breathe a little bit more. Because I love Mr. Terrific and, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, and Hawker. I think we could have had a little bit more there, maybe another 5 minutes. I thought Mr. Terrific was terrific. I love that character. I could watch a little spin-off TV show about just him. Rob, what did you think of the Justice Gang? I know you mentioned it before when we're out of the theater. But what did you think of them, and who was your favorite there?
Well, to answer the last question first, Mr. Terrific stole every scene he was in.
Yeah.
This guy. I mean, I didn't know too much about the character going. I had to do my research and then realize, like, oh wow, anyone that's been following, like, especially like the animated shows, like they know exactly who this guy is. And come to realize that I've missed out on a really, really cool character. No, this guy, if there's gonna be a TV show on him, from what I'm hearing with rumors as a possibility, I'm in. I'm in. First day it's streaming. I'm in, because this guy kills it. Overall, the Justice Gang as a whole was cool. I really enjoyed, like, they had some like jokes here and there about their dynamic, but overall they were entertaining as hell. Every time they were on screen, some craziness was happening. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner was a laugh riot. Hawkgirl was cool. She didn't have too much to work with, unfortunately, but whenever she was in there, you could see that they had chemistry together. So overall, yeah, I think maybe another scene or two of just them, especially in the Hall of Justice, which that was cool to see.
Yeah, I like to see
actual
the
Hall of Justice. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah, something else there probably. I would like to have seen a little bit more with them, just building up their characters and really like show the people who they are behind the scenes.
Dave, what'd you think? Justice Gang.
So Mr. Terrific steals every scene he's in. Nathan Fillion chews the scenery in every scene he's in, and Hawkgirl screams in every scene she's in.
Sure.
So Mr. Terrific was great. I just like his affect, and he did a lot of heavy lifting in this. He really, really did. And his little fight scene with when he's protecting Lois is like Yondu in with the arrow in Guardians. And it was just a great showcase of what his capabilities are. Green Lantern, I thought he was great. He's like everything you would expect him to be. No complaints. And yeah, could they have done more with Hawkgirl? Completely, but they didn't. I don't mind it because they didn't start to develop it and not do anything. Like, she was pretty much just what you saw was what you got, which for now is fine. Do we really need backstory? Not now, because it's a Superman movie, and we'll get there. And Gunn seems to trust the audience enough to know that they should know some backstory coming in here.
Yep, exactly. So I think that the Justice Gang really did well. I think they're gonna more members like Metamorpho, that's his name. I didn't know too much about him. I kind of got watched a little bit background. I liked his character. I'd like to see a little bit more of him though in the movie. Actually, believe it or not, there wasn't too much of him. Krypto. Well, let's go to Krypto, the Superdog. At first, when he was cast originally, I didn't like it. I was like, oh, I don't know about this Krypto the dog, but he was in there just enough. He did enough. He was actually pretty cool in his scenes. He didn't and then the payoff at the end with Supergirl. So, Dave, I'll start with you. What did you think of Krypto?
I liked it from the get-go. He's been in was a League of Super Pets, so it's nothing new. Again, if Gunn really is trying to go all into the comic books, like, what better way to do it than to give Superman his dog? Almost everyone I know loves dogs. He did add an emotional weight, and he did give Superman something to get emotional about when he went into Luthor's office. Which I know some people didn't like that either. They're like, oh, Superman wouldn't do that. But if you remember the 78 Christopher Reeve, when he pulls Lois out of the earthquake, he screams his face off and then turns back time. Like, it's the same kind of thing. Like, he loses his composure, which is what part of like what he said at the end. Like, his reactions, his feelings, things, those make him human. So I thought Krypto was a good addition. He looked great. The CGI was super believable. Nothing looked janky. And then he did some heavy lifting at the end, eating up all of Lex Luthor's little camera bots.
Yep. Rob, what did you think of Krypto?
So I love Krypto.
Okay.
But for me, he was like maybe 2 or 3 minutes away from me just saying, like, look, Clark, you're gonna have like super neuter this guy like right now, because this guy is way too much. He's out of control. Like, I don't know what's in him, but he needs to chill the F out. But I get it. You know, again, as a writer, you know, it's not hard to find. You know, even you don't have to be a writer to actually really see this stuff. But again, Gunn's style is that everything he introduces, he brings it all back. There's a reason why each character is going to have a certain purpose in the story. So you knew that because Krypto just can't help himself and needs to chew on everything. You know, so you knew that at the end that was going to come back with the robot, you know, drones and such like that. So it made sense that he used it that way. The reason why Krypto is the way he is, and then it's revealed that Krypto's real problem is Supergirl at the end, because you know she just doesn't care, you know, do whatever you want kind of deal. I like Krypto. If I could have maybe done well without maybe 1 or 2 scenes with him trying to like rip something up, you know, I think that'd have been fine. But overall, he's a great addition. It was just great to see Krypto. And to Dave's point, you know, we haven't got enough Krypto, to be honest, on the screen. So this is great.
Okay. Let's talk the 2 cameo scenes. We had Peacemaker, which I actually knew that was going to happen, but I didn't know when. So when it came on screen, it was, and then obviously Supergirl, which also people are complaining about that she came in as a drunk, but that is part of the comics world. Women of Tomorrow, you know, she struggles with Krypton and everything, and she drinks whatever. So Dave, what did you think about, you know, the Peacemaker cameo and the Supergirl cameo? Do you think they fit?
Yeah, because one, as soon as we saw Lex's pocket dimension, I'm like, oh, it's Peacemaker's dad's closet. Like it's probably the same type of technology. So, and Peacemaker was kind of James Gunn's first like real DC hit. Like Suicide Squad did well, but Peacemaker, like he came into his own. I remember thinking they're going to make a show about this guy. I love that show. I can't wait for the second season.
Yep.
And Supergirl was great. I liked that they didn't make it a post-credit scene. Like, hey, this is where we're going next. Enjoy the final scene of my movie. Yep. And for those people who didn't like how she was, Clark even says it. She likes to hang out on planets with red suns so she can get drunk. And then the thing about Kandor, like she didn't grow up in Kansas with the Kents. She is going to be different than Superman.
Yep. 100%.
She did not have the same upbringing. So I think people forget that too.
And I think it's going to be really good, Supergirl. I think it's going to be a really good twist on it, you know. Rob, what did you think about those cameos, the Supergirl and Peacemaker?
I'll start with Supergirl first. I mean, I really enjoyed the scene. She just crashes in, says, wasn't there a door there before? You know, awesome. And then it didn't take long to realize, okay, this is what we're going to get with Women of Tomorrow, which I'm all in for. This looks like it's going to be a hell of a ride. And more to James' style. I'm not sure if he's directing this movie or not, but if he's producing, I'm sure he's going to put his own style on it, because the character's tailor-made for what he does best. So one of these like really flawed characters that you just develop a whole saga around. So I'm looking forward to that. And Peacemaker, for me, I mean, I knew he was going to be around somewhere, because they showed the trailer, for his show. You see Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner. I think he was in there as well. Did his cameo, and so it's like, okay, he's going to show up at some point, and it wasn't like an overt, like, hey, kind of like cameo, just like, boom, he's getting interviewed on TV related to the story. Again, James Gunn's making sure like this is focused all on Superman. And so, John Cena delivers his typical, like, just jerk responses to the whole situation and stuff. So well played. I think it was, it wasn't like, gratuitous in any respect.
Okay. All right, let's finish up a couple characters and then we'll answer some questions that are in the chat. The engineer, Ultraman, I think the engineer, I didn't think she was needed in the movie. You could have got rid of her and it wouldn't have mattered, but I did enjoy the role. And then obviously Ultraman with the little twist being, you could say Bizarro Superman or whatever it is. Rob, did you like the engineer and Ultraman?
So I'll start with the engineer first. I like her capabilities. I think they really showcase how dangerous this character really is. And reading up on her, it was very evident that this is a person that could really, really like mess Superman up if he's not on his game. So in this one, it showed that she had a veracity about her that was just, like, it's good that she's following somebody, because if she's left to her own devices, she seems like one of these villains that just goes in, just wants to destroy everything as long as she's killing who she wants to kill. But again, I mean, that's really all we get from her. I agree with you in the sense that, aside from maybe some scenes, honestly, I think her biggest contribution was getting tossed around like a rag doll by Superman,
Yes.
and using her as a weapon to smack Ultraman around. So, okay, mission accomplished, but she's forgettable, to be quite honest. Ultraman, he's there for a reason. He serves his purpose, because you needed something, someone there that's going to be able to go toe to toe with Superman, and that's who they decided on. Again, it's like the way when I saw Ultraman, I think it became more imposing when you realize that it's Lex Luthor at the controls. Lex Luthor, pretty much, you even see him punching down while Ultraman's, punching down on Superman, as if he's there living vicariously through that character. So in a lot of ways, he's a tool in a sense. So, yes, you're going to remember Ultraman because he fought Superman. But outside of that, again, you're not really going to remember that he was like that's Ultraman.
Dave, what did you think of those two, Engineer and Ultraman?
So yeah, they're essentially just extensions of Luthor, which kind of shows again how good Luthor can be, or evil Luthor can be, if you want. The Engineer didn't really need to be there. Like, he could have had some kind of tech to break into the Fortress's computer and get that message. She kind of exists just to pose a threat to Superman in the final act with the nanites in his lungs. It's fine. She wasn't really wasted, but I don't think she was maximized either. And Ultraman is essentially Nuclear Man.
Yeah.
They quest for peace to him. Just made him out of a strand of hair, which would have been nice to get some backstory on that. So, we can look at it as, was he wasted, needed? I don't know, but he's going to be Bizarro at some point, like 99%. So
yes,
this is where he starts. Okay.
Exactly, because he goes in that pocket world and then he'll come back as Bizarro. And then finally, before we start answering the questions in the chat, I know we got a few there. Jimmy Olsen and Miss Tessmacher. I actually thought Jimmy Olsen character was pretty funny. I thought actually it was pretty funny, Miss Tessmacher. He's a ladies' man, Jimmy Olsen, not like he's a ladies' man. Dave, what do you think of Jimmy Olsen?
He was fun. He was really fun. Like, Jimmy, that character is going to be present in any incarnation of Superman. And this has probably been the most enjoyable one to watch. Like, the one who has some story. He's interesting. If they gave this guy a spin-off show like the Olsen Chronicles, I'd probably watch it. Like Zack Snyder tried to make him edgy and make him like a CIA agent who gets shot in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Everywhere. I thought it was great. And it's like, you don't even question, like, once you know what you're getting, you don't even question, like, how's this guy getting all the ladies? Like, I just is what it is. Let's see what this guy does.
Yep. Rob, what did you think of Jimmy Olsen?
First, I gotta give the actor a shout out because I really like him a lot. His name is Skylar Gisondo, and I hope I said that right. Because I remember this guy way back from this obscure, funny ass movie, in my opinion, Not Another Teen Movie. Yeah, he was funny then, and he still is now. Like, he's one of those characters that when you see him on screen, you start smirking because just, he's up to something. He has that kind of face. You're just like, what are you doing back there? So I mean, I really enjoyed his character. Again, it's like I could see the vision that James Gunn is possibly going forward with the maybe spinoffs, because I think that's another rumor that Jimmy Olsen, this character, will actually have his own spinoff. And if this is a taste of what's to come, I mean, this might be Peacemaker light in a way. So and if that's anything like with that kind of concept, with this interpretation of Jimmy Olsen, I think it's a winner, to be quite honest. So the Taskmaster, she, she's one-dimensional. She serves her purpose. She turns out to be a lot smarter than
Yeah.
she shows. You know, when
Yeah.
she, gives Jimmy everything he needs to bring down Lex. And at
Mhm.
first, you glance, you're like, no, it's just selfies. But she's taking selfies in front of all his plans. So
Mhm.
it's like, that kind of nuance. Again, she was so like, just like so clingy, there
Mhm.
for the effect of, with the comic relief. But giving her that kind of twist, that shows a little depth with the character. So, I don't know what more you could have done, but if she's capable of doing that, I would like to see what else she could do.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, overall, I thought the Superman movie was great. I mean, wasn't my favorite Superman movie. Probably was right up there. But I mean, I'm really happy with the direction that DCU is going. I think we're in good hands with James Gunn. I mean, you guys must agree. I think we're in pretty good shape. I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I just want to, just say this because I mean I've been, reading some of the online, chatter and whatnot. So let's get this on the table right now, okay? Was this the definitive Superman movie that everybody was hoping for? No. Um, can this be the Superman for this new generation? I absolutely think so,
Mhm.
because he's given us something that was missing for the character from the character for a long, long time.
Mhm.
Christopher Reeves will always be the GOAT. He always will be Superman, no matter what. So,
Mhm.
but to say that David Corenswet is the second best Superman ever, again, in my opinion, because
Mhm.
the way this direction is, that's more praise of like what James Gunn is bringing to the table, and also kind of like respecting the source material and showing that what, it's okay to be the nice guy. The most powerful guy in the world can be nice, and deeply meaningful. And to be honest, that's something that I think we all need nowadays.
Yep. So let's answer some of these questions here. My brother said, although I'm not into Superman, I've heard it was good. Where do we go from here? Well, I think we're set up pretty good with Wonder Woman, and then Batman's going to be coming along in Wonder Woman. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what's timeline wise. Although actually, yeah. So Peacemaker's next, and I don't know timeline wise what comes out after that. But again, if Peter Safran and James Gunn are steering the ship, like I think it's okay. I'm pretty sure they're not. We had a lot of characters, and yes, we had the Justice Gang, but I know they're not trying to steamroll into another Justice League movie. We're not trying to get a big. I don't think we're trying to get a big team up. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think they're going to be fine. I think one of James Gunn's strengths is working an ensemble cast. Again, look at Guardians, look at Suicide Squad, even look at this. There are a lot of players on the field, and they all pretty much got equal playing time. And no one was. Yeah, could some characters have gotten more screen time? Sure. Could they be more developed? But no one was really wasted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was really good. And the only thing I will say, going off what Rob said, like respecting the source material. I heard a lot of people being like, "This is too comic booky." And I want to be like, so you're upset that a comic book character movie is too comic booky? That's like saying, listen, when Mandalorian and Grogu comes out, don't make it too Star Warsy.
Yeah. What? Exactly. It's kind of crazy. Anthony Mazzano said, Joe, with the popular Krypto in the Superman movie, do you think they will give the Brave and the Bold will introduce Ace, the Bat Hound, and Titus? Do you think so? I think they would. James Gunn definitely would do something like that. What about you guys? You think
if you caught in Peacemaker, they mentioned the Bat Imp, or
Yes,
Batmite.
that might.
Like
Yes.
the fact that we get Batmite mentioned, like legit, anything's possible.
Yep, you're right. You're right. Anthony says, I can't understand why Clark is upset, but I don't think he's upset at Lois. I believe he is more upset at the people for expecting him to be in multiple places at once.
Oh, I got this.
What do you think? What do you think?
He's up. It's not even that complicated, to be honest, Anthony. The reason why he's upset is because in his mind he can't wrap his mind around the fact that he's getting questioned for saving people's lives. He went there and he just he said himself, not verbatim, but he said, I wasn't there to represent anybody. People were going to die, and I could do something about it. And by doing that, now everybody's throwing all these questions, like, so it's like, what are you going to be now doing international policy? Are you going to be just sidestepping government, the way we do things as a society? And he was even thinking that deeply into it. It's like, no, there was kids there. There was parents there. There were human beings there that were ready to go up against tanks. I'm sorry, that's not a fair fight. And I think that's a fight Superman's worth his time to come in and step in. And so I think that's where the anger comes from, because, and it's also come from Lois too. He knows it's not Lois asking the question, because these are questions that's out there. And so it drives him crazy that he's like, I did a good thing, and I'm being roasted for this.
Yeah. Anthony says, I don't think we're going to have a traditional trilogy. I think the follow-up to Superman movie is going to be The Authority or Mr. Terrific movie, like Batman versus Superman was for Man of Steel. What do you guys think?
I think that's right. I think if I remember the original timeline that James Gunn revealed, he did mention The Authority. Again, the Mr. Terrific movie, I don't know if that was ever like an official thing, but after this one, maybe.
We'll see.
I'll make mention of one thing though that I like to see. This Superman, I'm not sure that this Superman is the leader of the Justice League, the eventual leader of the Justice League. I think he's too green. So I think this is a starting point. And I think to answer where is this all going, I want to see that development, because at some point, he's got to show that he has some kind of authority to it. Because in this movie, he could barely control a dog. Who's going to follow him? He can't even do that.
Anthony says, what are your guys' thoughts on the androids interacting with Krypto? I guess Superman's robots. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I thought the robots did their job, helping Superman and everything. They didn't really put up a fight though, when everyone came in, but I thought they were okay. Dave, what'd you think of them?
I like that we just got to see some crazy Superman stuff outside of just crystals and Jor-El. We got mention of the intergalactic zoo. Like, let's see that. What does that look like? Right?
Yeah.
Alan Tudyk is essentially doing K2SO, which is fine.
Yep.
And they're fine. If they were able to handle Krypto, then Krypto doesn't get into the stuff he gets into. They either protect him or put him somewhere, or they're able to keep him on a leash. And then that just kind of downgrades the fact that they almost downgrade Superman, because he can't do it, but the robots can. So like that's just the role they have to have. And I think they're programmed to maintain and look after Cal.
Yep.
They're not really housekeepers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've been seeing online. What do you guys think of the monkey trolling stuff?
It's just a sign of the times.
Yeah.
It's just like Lex is going to think of any single way that he can get under Superman's skin. And if he puts him all in this weird pocket dimension doing a thing, it's fine. But it also lends some credence to Superman can't really figure out, like, why are people getting all up in arms? Like, I'm saving lives, and I don't understand why people are getting this like this. Because it's not people. It's Lex just rigging the game. So I think he still doesn't really have a full understanding of how powerful Lex can be. Because again, we're talking he's Superman for 3 years. Like, if this movie were to take place another 4 or 5 years down the line, these characters would flesh out very differently.
Yep.
I got a question for you guys about that, about the monkeys. So someone pointed this out. I think I read this somewhere online, and just curious. So you don't think that was James Gunn's trolling of the Snyder fans that were like, bombing this Superman and this film?
I've heard something about that too. I did hear something online about something like that too. I don't know.
I mean, if we think about it, yeah. I mean, could he just be trolling the Snyder fans and obviously not Snyder? Maybe. Those guys need to all do something different anyway. Like, we're so far past it. Go watch Watchmen. That was good.
Yeah. CK.
Even Snyder himself has said he's just done with the genre. It's not exciting for him anymore. So he's just going to make mediocre Star Wars movies.
Right. Yeah.
CK said, when you have people that excuse James Gunn's disrespect for Superman's original story lore, based on a Smallville season, is all we need to know about the knowledgeable anyone is on Superman. That is correct. You know, you said it. You know, people complain about Jor-El and all that stuff. It was in Smallville already. People already kind of did it. Woody said here, I don't understand the Snyder fans. This movie kind of represents Superman better than Snyder's movies of him. I think 100%. What do you guys think?
I don't think Snyder ever really said he's sticking to the source material. Like, it's very clear that those characters were his interpretations of what he wants to see on screen. And that's fine. I mean, what do you do if you, as a filmmaker, if not putting something you want to see on the screen on the screen? I just don't think it really resonated with. I don't think it resonated with as many people as he wanted it to. Like, yeah, we get to see Superman be big and strong and more powerful than he should be, and have disregard for everything. I thought those movies were fine, and Cavill was a fine choice to play him in the suit and all this stuff. It just, that Superman doesn't give me hope about anything. This Superman does.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, there's one line in Batman v Superman that Cavill, Superman actually says to Lois, and I'll never forget it because that was a microcosm. That's what made me realize that Snyder didn't really get Superman, or he got him, but he just figured that source material is just not good enough to play up. But it's a line where Superman's in it, and towards the end he tells Lois nothing ever stays good. Superman said that, and then he flies away. That's when he gets that meeting with Lex Luthor, and he ends up fighting Batman, all this stuff. It was just dark, morbid, sad. It's like, I'm sorry. Again, I thought Henry Cavill had some really good Superman in him, but unfortunately he never got the chance to really show it with Snyder at the helm.
You know what was my favorite scene actually that showed the Superman humanity is when he was about to turn himself in, right? And him and Lois are having a conversation, and Lois says to him, "What are you doing?" "I'm turning myself in." He goes, "Why?" He's like, "Well, because they know where Krypto is." And he says, "Well, it's only a dog." And he says, and he's not really a good dog either, but he's alone and he's scared.
Right.
That to me showed him that what the Superman was, going to see just to save a dog. That's not even really good, but just because he's alone and scared and he wants to be there with them and find them. That kind of showed me the humanity of Superman too. And then he saves a squirrel. It's like, you don't normally see that, but
Henry Cavill would have just heat visioned the dog into ash.
Yes, I have had
it. CK says it was in the Infinity Crisis issue of Superman written by Jeff Johns, where Jor-El was slightly portrayed as what Gunn film portrayed in this film. However, this is considered canon. How this is not considered canon?
Yeah.
What do you think? That's exactly right.
Exactly. It's what I said. It's CK is clearly very familiar with the books, and somewhere in some book this has been done. There's no way this is an original idea. So I was completely fine with it. It gives Superman something to fight against. Superman can be one of his biggest foes. It doesn't always have to be I'm punching Doomsday into outer space, right? Let me wrestle with why I think I was sent here in the first place. That creates great storytelling. And it also lets you really believe in the hopefulness he finds in himself as we get to the end of the film. It's a great story point to hinge where this character goes from here.
And honestly, I CK, I get it that it's not canon, but the fact that it was written, that speaks a lot to hey, you talk about this guy was sent to Earth, by a person that he'll never know. He knows his father, but he'll never know him. So how, aside from a message, does he really know who he's all about? And I think with Smallville, they worked with that. They kind of explored that option. And to be honest, it's like, again, Jeff Johns had the idea, okay, I don't think the DC fans are gonna like this, but let me try it out and look at where we are. It's a story angle that's actually it's awesome because it's like it makes Superman question who he really is, and then it really is about where he goes from here and his decisions, and not just he's just following orders from Daddy from outer space they never met.
Yep. Roberto Martinez, he says the new Superman movie felt like Silver Age Superman with a mix of movies and the animated series of the 90s. Roberto says he loved it. I think so. I thought it was good.
Yes,
like
sir.
I said, What do you say?
Right there.
Anthony said, Joe, the team, I think get introduced first before the original Justice League is JSA, the Authority, of course, Young Justice, the Outsiders, and the Terrifics. Well, I guess so. We'll see. I don't really know. Understand. Anthony says, do you guys find it hypocritical that the fans complain about Vader getting his ass kicked? Yes, and we talked about that. You know, I just don't like it, and they didn't watch the right movie, because let's talk facts. He had 4 major fights in there. He fought Luthor's Raptors, beat them easily. The kaiju he did not want to kill. He just wanted to put it in a zoo, wanted to keep it alive. So he didn't, he hadn't struggled against them, no. Engineer, he clearly had him choked down, says, you can change, but it was just Ultraman that came in and the one who kind of, beat him, but it was a clone of himself with Luthor in the background helping analyze his moves. What are you going to do? So he did not get his ass kicked. I don't know what people are thinking about when they see this movie. Doesn't make any sense. So guys, we're actually an hour already in. We want to start wrapping up, but guys, overall, what did you guys think? I'll start with Rob. Do you tell people go see it? You want people to go see it?
Yes, I do want people to go see it, because is this the perfect Superman movie? No. If you're a fan, I think, honestly, to be honest, if you're a fan of Superman, you're gonna love this movie. Roberto Martinez in the comments kind of mentioned it, that how it's like, it's got this feel of the animated versions that we've seen, and it's true. It's vibrant, it's fun. I said it that night when we saw it. This movie rocks. It's a lot of fun, and it gives us a Superman that I think we could all just get behind. And again, I can't stress it enough, because we have not had this kind of Superman since, to be honest, Christopher Reeves. And I think that's important, that we get this kind of character iteration, and it wrapped up in such a fun movie. It's definitely worth watching.
Okay. All right, Dave, what is your last, letting people know to go see this movie? Should they go see it?
Go see it. Yeah, for sure. I would see it again.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was that good. Go see it because I want to see it make some money. I want to see more projects from DC get greenlit. Just bring movies back, man. Let's just go. Let's just go have a good time.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think we're in good hands.
Going back to Superman getting his ass kicked. Reeves Superman 78. Who does he really fight? The kryptonite necklace in the pool.
Yeah, that's true.
Water.
And and that's funny you say that.
He can't even save everybody from the earthquake. It's Superman's strength and his ability to fight his villains is probably one of the least interesting aspects of him.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about, in Smallville, Annette O'Toole and John Schneider, probably one of, if not my favorite parts of that series. They really, really made that series. And if you think that 2 farmers from Kansas can teach a boy how to save the world, come on, man. What are we talking about?
Yep. I agree with you 100%. And I also think it's a generational thing, because as a child, whatever movie you see as a kid has an impact on you. I think Christopher Reeve was a great movie. So my son, who saw that movie, and then he saw the Christopher Reeve 78 movie, he's like, 78 movie? I don't think anything was great about that movie. But for us as kids seeing it, he was like,
Did you put him in his room for a week?
Yeah, I'm a big Christopher Reeve. I'm like, hey, that's Christopher Reeve. He's like, oh, there's no CGI, there's no this, there's no flying. I'm like, well, this is what different generations, I think, also make movies in your heart. This
is a good Superman for the next generation of
correct
movie fans to go forward.
Yes, 100%. And on that note, guys, go watch Superman. It's out there. We enjoyed it. It's not the best movie of all time, but it's a good movie. So just go out there and watch it. Dave, Rob, I will see you guys next week. Enjoy yourselves, and we will talk next week, guys.
Bye, fellas.
Welcome to Straight Outta Jersey. Today's podcast is brought to you by Ace Sunglasses. Go to acesunglasses.com.au to purchase some of the best shades around. Use promo code MRG30 and receive 30% off selected brands. That's Ace Sunglasses, the shades of true champions.